You ever had some really bad advice and it's really impacted your life in maybe an area in like health and relationships and money and business and your career? Well, today I'm going to talk about the worst advice that I personally come across and what you can do, what to look out for so that you get a little bit more better advice out there with today's guidance. And if you stay until the end, I have an extra special point for you then. Now, again, as always, this is a bit of guidance, a bit of coaching for you. You can choose to resonate with this, you may not. I don't want you to see this as advice. This is more guidance from my story, as always. Now, in my life, I've heard many people give me what they termed advice, right? Maybe it's parents, maybe it's teachers, maybe it's friends, maybe it's coaches, maybe it's mentors. And sometimes it was great advice, and sometimes it was not, and it wasn't really advice. And we'll go into the difference in a minute. Yeah, it can be really impactful if you, in a bad way, if sometimes you get given the wrong words or someone gives you like the wrong ideas and you get convinced by their certainty or because you don't believe in yourself and it results in something bad, right? So what's the worst advice? The worst advice is not advice, it's an opinion. Okay, and what do I mean by that? Well, I've got a great definition from one of my mentors, Peter Sage, who is giving advice because he is an expert in human behavior. He's had the results, and he's also an expert and a mentor in business because he's got multi millions, right? To me, he may not be for how to make a billion, so he wouldn't be giving advice on that because he's not made it in terms of a billion, but millions is pretty impressive. So for me, he gives good advice, right? And he said this: advice is only advice if the person has walked the path ahead of you and got the result. I'll say that again. Advice is only advice if the person has walked ahead of you and got the result. Everything else is an opinion, which makes complete sense. And the thing is, lots of us like to give opinions. And I'm guilty of it myself sometimes, giving opinions. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's not really an opinion, that's advice. The thing is, there's so much information available and we're like, oh, I've got to share this with you. You should do this, this, and this. Hold on. Have you done that yourself? That's the question you want to ask. Now, ask yourself this. We're going to go into some pointers, what to look for, but ask yourself this. How does it serve you by listening to like someone and not really knowing like actually the results they've got yet? You maybe listen to them and it may or may not work out. And you get in this cycle and you're like, oh, I really need some good advice right now. Well, we're going to dive into that in a minute because I've certainly been guilty of listening to people I shouldn't have. So the first thing to do is know what you want. Know what you want, not what you don't want. What do you want? Got to be really clear on what you want, what direction you're going. Even if you're in a tough situation, know roughly where you want to go in terms of what you want. That's the first one. And then the next question, who can help me and who actually has results? Always ask, has this person got results? Okay. So maybe you're like, all right, I want to get really healthy. All right. And then you find someone who's absolutely in top shape. They got a six pack or whatever. And they're like really energetic. You're like, great. Okay. What? And then you can follow what they say. Look at their results. And they're probably going to give you good advice. Someone who's making like 6-7 figures in business and you're just starting out. Although if there's 7 figures, you probably wouldn't be necessarily approaching them. But say there's a 6-figure business owner helping you start your business. Great, fantastic. They've been making that and they've helped other people make that. That's fantastic. That's the second one. And then the third one, if someone offers you advice, or they call it advice, ask them their experience. I got challenged on this once, and do you know what? The other person was completely right. I was not giving advice. I was giving an opinion. I told my friend after reading a book how he should approach his dating situation. And he asked me, are you in a loving and passionate relationship? My answer was no. And he had completely every right to ask that question, right? I personally only want to hire coaches who've got the result or in the result that I want. So like if I want to hire someone from a business, they got to be doing good in business. I hired a somatic coach. He was absolutely really spiritual and he knows what he's doing, knows what he's talking about. But I had life coaches who have their life together, right? It makes sense when you think about it. If I want to hire a relationship coach, like this, there's a bit of controversy on me saying this because some people don't like to hear it. I'm sorry, but I'm only hiring a relationship coach if they're in a decent relationship, not a perfect relationship. There's no such thing. A decent relationship, right? I'm not hiring someone who's single if I want a relationship, right? So if someone offers their experience, or sorry, if someone offers their advice, always look at their experience and results. And then kindly, you can decline and say, thank you so much for your input. But I feel like I'm going to do this, or I'm going to check out this or whatever. And that takes a little bit of confidence, right? And maybe just practice what you're going to say to them in advance. Okay. I want to really share a final point where you can get true advice. And it doesn't have to be in the form of a conversation with someone. It can be in the form of learning on the go, reading an audiobook, a podcast. Look at an area where you want to go, and then look at someone who's absolutely killing it at the top and that you resonate with. If they're like sleazy and you don't like him, you don't have to, right? But look at a true master and then think, what are they doing? What are the habits they doing? What are they suggesting? What are their beliefs in the book or the podcast or the audiobook? And then start taking that into account. And then actually what you can do is start comparing what they're saying to actually what people who've got no experience but offer their opinion on something and call it advice are saying, and see the difference. Just have a look at that. So I really want to talk about this because it's something I'm really passionate about, because I know and people aren't necessarily trying to do you harm when they're giving you what they call advice, but it's really an opinion. People just like to share stuff and they like to talk. Not everyone likes to talk, but people like to share stuff and they sometimes like to help, but they don't realize they're actually coming from a theory-based place rather than an experience results-based place. So always be conscious about people's results, because if they haven't got them, it's an opinion, even if they're quoting from some book or something. Right, so that's and it's going to impact your confidence as well. If you get a genuine master, or not master, well, you listen to a master, but if you've got someone who's a little bit ahead of you and they give you that advice, that's going to build your confidence because they're going to pave the road for you a little bit more. So I appreciate you for being here. You're improving other people's lives for being the best you. And remember, you are in control of your own self-esteem and confidence.